Is Brian Robinson Jr. losing his starting job in front of his own eyes? And why did Dan Quinn name these second-year players as rising stars to watch? Hello everyone, and welcome back to the Full Command Show. My name is Grant Mitchell, and we're here to talk about everything involving the Washington Commanders. I posted a video earlier today addressing the recent support, and guys, you honestly have just made not even my day, my week, you've made my whole month. The support on the videos, the likes, the comments, the new subscribers especially, I'm so humbled by it, and I'm blessed, and I really look forward to what we are going to accomplish together. You know, we're only in training camp. The preseason hasn't even started. This channel only just began. By the time we get to the regular season, it's a lofty goal. But what if we get to 1,000 subscribers by the time we get to the regular season? That would be pretty freaking awesome. As I've talked about on videos before, guys, I record these for your comments and for your feedback. I'm not recording just to talk to myself in an empty room with nobody home. I'm recording so that you can take whatever I say, whether it's my opinion, whether it's a report or something that I'm aggregating from other reporters. I want your feedback on it, so go leave that down in the comment section as we go through this video. If you want to help me out, hitting the like button really pushes this video out into the algorithms. And if you like me and want to stick around for future content, hit that subscribe button. Okay, so with all that general housekeeping stuff out of the way, I posted my video earlier today, which was me looking at the potential 53-man roster for the Commanders. In my opinion, 49 of the 53 spots are essentially guaranteed. Then I broke it down to where you had 14 guys competing for 4 spots. I went over some of my inclusions, not going to spoil it, you're just going to have to go check it out for yourself. But it was a really fun project, and I plan on updating it at the end of the preseason when the 53-man cuts are due. But that's not what we're here to talk about. In this video, we are addressing what happened out on the field at Thursday's training camp session. Before we get to that, though, a quick word from Dan Quinn, who was talking to the media before practice began, and he pointed out some second-year guys that he thinks are ready to become potential stars. The first person he named was Brandon Coleman. He said he was the first to mind when he was asked who was the most impressive as far as the second-year guys and how they have attacked the offseason and training camp portion. He went on to mention 2 other guys, Javonte Jean-Baptiste and Jordan McGee, but him naming Brandon Coleman first, it's not a Freudian slip because he didn't say anything wrong, but the fact that Brandon Coleman was the first name to his mind probably suggests that Coleman is, in his eyes, maybe the most impressive second-year guy, aside from Jaden and Mikey. We'll see how that develops. Coleman showed flashes at tackle, but if he can lock down that guard spot, and on that left side, it's Tunsil and Coleman, and a really good center with Biadasz in the middle. We'll see how Sam Cosmi comes back, and we'll see how Connerly develops. But as I've talked about so many times, that offensive line can legitimately be a top 10, top 7 unit every year for at least the next 4 to 5 years. And that would be pretty awesome. As I said, Dan Quinn also mentioned Javonte Jean-Baptiste, said he looks longer and stronger than he did last year. And Jordan McGee, he said, is flashing as a blitzer. My affinity for the second-year linebackers and a rookie linebacker, Jordan McGee, Dominique Hampton, and Kane Medrano, my affinity for those guys is well known on this channel. I've talked about how Bobby Wagner and Frankie Louvu are excellent players, but they're very different from Hampton, McGee, and Medrano. Not saying that those other 3 are better than these all-pros we got, Bobby Wagner being a Hall of Famer. Maybe Louvu gets on that trajectory now that he's really entered his prime, who knows. But the speed and the range that those other guys can give you, it just gives you more answers to a test. If Wagner and Louvu were at the center of the defense and they were getting run all over, and McGee, Medrano, and Hampton are viable alternatives, yeah, go try them. Just see what they can do. I'm just very excited to hear Dan Quinn mention Jordan McGee. Jaden Daniels also gave us some quotes. His were after practice. One of my favorite ones that he said, a reporter asked him about what it's been like having Laremy Tunsil, and he just said, "I love him." And that was it. That was the end of his comments. Nothing else, just, "I love Laremy Tunsil." It's a good sign. He also talked about Deebo Samuel, his understanding of the routes, said that Deebo does a very good job communicating with him and understanding what he wants him to do with what Jaden wants him to do with his routes, and has worked very well. The connection between those two has been well reported throughout camp. He also spoke on Jaylin Lane, who's going to be one of the big themes of this video today. He said that Jaylin is a quiet guy and that he identifies with him because they're both quiet. But he said Jaylin's even quieter than he is, and all he wants to do is just learn and develop his game. And hey, I don't care how loud or how quiet somebody is. If they're coming in with the right attitude as a rookie and they're ready to produce, that's got me excited. He also officially confirmed that Jacory Croskey-Merritt will now be known as Bill from here on out. It's his nickname. I've heard him tell the story on how he got the Bill nickname at least 100 times. If anyone doesn't know the story by now, it's because he had a bald head when he was a kid, and there was a cartoon and a character named Lil Bill who had a bald head. So that's how Jacory Croskey-Merritt becomes Bill. Jaden says that's what he's calling him. That's what I'm calling him. He also talked about what makes Bill special is his one-cut ability. And I have heard this from so many people. Dan Quinn has said it. Cliff Kingsbury has said it. I think Adam Peters might have said it. Commanders reporters have all said it. They've all come back to one cut. Get to the line, put your foot in the ground, burst through the hole. He seems to have that explosiveness, and Bill's also going to be a big theme on today's episode. He seems to have that explosiveness, that ability to generate these chunk plays that the running game with B-Rob and Eckler just could not achieve last year. So with the media stuff out of the way, let's actually talk about what was going on out on the practice field. Back to my affinity for the linebackers. Dominique Hampton and Kay Medrano got a lot of run with the twos today on defense. That's big for me because we know Luvu and Wagner are going to be the starters. The twos are almost not even really the twos. That's like, who's going to rotate in? Who's going to work with them? Because those two guys, Luvu and Wagner, had to play so many snaps last year. The Commanders played a lot of dime, and it would just be those two out there pretty much all the time, it felt like. There were no real depth pieces at linebacker. If Medrano and Hampton can become those guys, McGee as well, obviously included in that group, and they're actually rotating into the field, again, it's just going to give the Commanders so much more speed on defense, and with the rest that it's going to allow for Luvu and Wagner, when they come on, they're going to have more speed, they're going to have more strength, and it's going to really revitalize and almost give a makeover to how we view that side of the football. Again, this all comes back to the theme that DQ and Adam Peters have preached since they came in. Competition. When you have competition for reps, sure, it's a battle between brothers and you want to get higher up on that food chain, but if the twos are giving legitimate competition to the ones, and the ones can come rest for a few plays and not worry about a drop-off, well, when the ones get back in, they're going to be even better than they would be normally if they just had to play a ton of snaps. Thursday's practice was heavy red zone focus. To absolutely nobody's surprise, the first play of the day is a touchdown to Zach Ertz. Zach Ertz at 34, 35 years old now. He said before that he wishes he was 22 and he could play his whole career with Jaden. I don't doubt that. But even still, at 34, 35 years old, he looks so sharp in these gotta-have-it situations. If you think back on so many of the big plays last year, if Jaden wasn't running the ball on fourth down specifically, or something in goal to go, first and goal, second goal, third and goal, I felt like Zach Ertz was almost always the target. Terry McLaurin had the big plays. He had a lot of the scoring plays, but as far as the fourth downs and the goal to goes, Zach Ertz was such a frequent target. And it's no surprise because he can create a mismatch on a linebacker who isn't shifty. And even at 34, 35 years old, if he's got a corner or a safety on him, all he's got to do is get that big body in front of him, just turn around and box him out like it's a big game of basketball. And his hands are so safe that he's going to catch it. So Zach Ertz out there still balling out. Also saw a couple of reports that Javon Kinlaw is starting to flash in some of this red zone stuff. He's just ripping right through the offensive linemen, destroying the integrity of the interior of the line. And once that happens, it's kind of game over, especially in a goal line where there's not not the goal line, but the red zone, where there's not a whole lot of room to scramble. It's different from if you're at the 50-yard line and the tackle gets beat and Jaden's forced to roll out to the side. He's still got running lanes, passing lanes in front of him. If the interior collapses and you're already close to the goal line and there's not much separation between the defensive line and the linebackers, they can just crash down and stop any scramble attempts, yeah, that's game over. And that's what you want to see from Javon Kinlaw and some of the other signings, the Dietrich Wises, the Eddie Goldmans. Collapse the interior of the offense, or at least anchor down, don't let them get a push, and make them beat you. That's something that felt like didn't happen last year, so good to see. 3 guys I want to spend the rest of this video really focusing on, because it's 3 guys who deserve their time. Jaylin Lane, Jacory Croskey-Merritt, Tyler Owens. People that I, and to my knowledge, most Commanders fans are super, super, super excited about. It's tough to walk this line of not getting too excited about a 7th rounder in the case of Bill, and not hoisting these expectations of him being the starter. Also, trying not to be upset if Brian Robinson Jr. is the starter and he's getting the majority of the work in the first month of the season. But Bill is turning heads. I reported either yesterday or the day before that the majority of Commanders reporters who were asked who's the standout player of camp, they all said Bill. Well, Bill had several big chunk plays, a couple of them running to the outside off tackle, a couple of those one-cut burst through the seam. He had a physical play. I think it was Noah Igbenogany crashed down to him in the flat, and they had a big pop with the pads. Never going to know what would have happened because the Commanders aren't tackling, but he's not afraid of contact. He's showing the flash, he's showing the burst, and he's making plays. If Brian Robinson Jr. looked revitalized and had these huge moments, we would be hearing about it. If Jeremy McNichols or Eckler or Chris Rodriguez, any of these guys had these huge moments, we would hear about it. It's just Jacory Croskey-Merritt. That's the theme that keeps coming back. The run game also had a dominant day overall. That's according to the reports. I did see that Chris Rodriguez had a nice run. I didn't hear much about B-Rob. I didn't hear much about Eckler. It was really just Bill. And again, I'm drinking the Kool-Aid. I'm trying my best not to make that. I'm not trying not to fill up on Kool-Aid. I still want room for the main course, but it's getting difficult. He's really applying pressure, and I want to see this kid in preseason. I want to see good reps for him against the Patriots. I want to see what he's got to offer. Another rookie, turning heads, Jaylin Lane. We talked about him earlier. Today he caught, I'm not sure if it was 2 or 3 touchdowns. I saw reports of both, but he caught multiple touchdowns. At least 2 from Sam Hartman, possibly 1 from Jaden Daniels as well. One was for 50-plus yards. Another was on a screen. He got behind the defense on one of them and just came available in the end zone. This kid, with 4.3 speed, and I think he could actually probably be even a little bit faster once he gets in this NFL weight room. Because as a Virginia Tech alum, knowing what happened to the football program down there, I'm just going to guess that if what I saw from the on-field product was what it was, I'm going to assume the weight room program probably matched that a little bit. So I think in an NFL system, Jaylin Lane might be able to get down to 4.2 speed. And with Debo, as we've talked about numerous times, with the attention he demands when he catches the ball, with the attention that Terry will draw when he's on the field, Zach Ertz in the goal-to-go big moment sort of situations, to have a speedy game changer like Jaylin Lane, who is more than just fast. There were reports that he was shaking Mike Sainer still. He was getting open on routes even when he wasn't being targeted with the football. For him to have all of that in his bag and then also be the best returner in the draft, so when you get the ball to him, that's when the second play begins. It's like, even if it's a 15-yard dig and he gets the ball, well, now it's like a screen, because anytime you get a guy like that the ball, the second play begins, and now he's downhill. And I'm just excited to see him. The offense needed game changers last year. A lot of the burden was put on Jaden's shoulders because of the offensive line, because the running game wasn't great, because there weren't a lot of big play receivers aside from Terry. Jaylin Lane gives the Commanders legitimate juice, and I'm here for it. The final guy to talk about, Tyler Owens. He was getting some reps with the ones today. This is big because he was an undrafted free agent last year who was an absolute demon on special teams. Tackling was a bit of a concern, didn't really play defense, but now he's getting reps with the ones. I would assume he's going to be over at strong safety. That's notable because the Commanders signed Will Harris. He looked like he was going to be written in to be the starting safety, but that might not be the case. Quan Martin, by all accounts, has had a great camp. He's going to be the starting free safety. That would leave, again, Tyler Owens at strong safety. And when you think about the comparisons between him and Jeremy Chin from last year, two larger guys, very fast, very athletic, love to get downhill, create contact. Again, tackling might be a little bit of a concern with Tyler Owens, but it also could have been cleaned up by now. We know from him being on special teams, he's not going to hesitate to get downhill and get his nose in the running game, try to create some negative plays. So stylistically, it's not going to be all that different from what the Commanders had last year, but the upside potentially with his athleticism could be pretty enormous. So again, when I talk about the Commanders, what they're doing with this youthful revolution, as we all know, they have a type for these athletic guys, which makes sense. They're just saying, we trust our coaches to develop these physical talents into great players. I can't teach you to run a 4.3. I can't teach you to jump 40 inches. I can't teach you to have this 3-cone, but I can teach you how to tackle. I can teach you how to catch a football. That's what they're banking on, and it's early. It's the training camp. It's the second year of the new regime, but it does feel like it's paying off a little bit. You look at the value of the picks. Nailing the second pick in the draft with Jaden Daniels was excellent. Nailing a future leader with Mike Sainristil was excellent. But when you look at some of the value that they're getting from these later round picks, Hampton and Medrano working in with the 2s, Bill getting reps with the 1s, Lane getting reps with the 1s, Tyler Owens getting reps with the 1s, all guys that were drafted in the 4th round at the earliest. Some of them 7th rounders, some of them undrafted free agents. We talked about Jacory Brooks potentially being a candidate to make the 53-man roster. Again, check out my video this morning to see if I have him on the team. There's just a lot of these late round hits, and that's what a front office needs to do to build a great team for the long term. It's nice to hit on your first and your second round guys, but where you really fill out the rosters in those later round picks, it seems like that's what the Commanders are doing. So, tip of the cap to Adam Peters. I cannot wait to see these guys up in New England. They got the joint practice in 6 days next Wednesday and the preseason game in 8 days next Friday. I will be covering all of that in addition to covering every day of training camp and even the off days. So if you guys have not hit the subscribe button by now, please do me the favor. Go ahead and do that. Hit the like button as well if you did enjoy this. It helps me out tremendously. You guys have been showing mad love on the channel so far, and I am so indebted to you and so humbled by it. But as always, I will catch you on the next one. Have a great day.